Hi everyone, I'm Katie Sharif. Welcome to my studio and welcome to this seminar. This seminar is called Somatics and Arabic Dance Arts for Wellbeing. As some of you know, I'm very excited about the way the Middle Eastern and Arabic dance arts can not only be pleasing and aesthetic, feel great, but also heal our bodies. I'm a huge advocate of this ever since I was involved in quite a bad car accident when I was 18, when I'd just been learning belly dancing, and I really did do a lot of my rehabilitation work through the rolling, gently unfolding movements of belly dance. And I do believe that really helped in my own healing process. And later, as a dance teacher, working with a lot of people with physical limitations, I do see that the benefits of belly dancing are really widespread. I'm going to present this seminar in about 20 minutes. It's going to be a fairly short seminar, but I'd like to hit the main points, and there are 5 main areas I'd like to explore. The first one is all about somatic principles through the lens of Oriental dance or Middle Eastern dance arts and movement. So in this part, we look at how the somatic principles can be applied to belly dancing with specific movement groups. Secondly, we look at the psychophysical benefits of somatic belly dance. Somatic belly dance is the dancing that we really sense from within, where we become very attuned and aware from where the dance is coming from deep within our bodies. Then I'm going to look at the detailed energetic relationships between sound, movement, and body connectivity. A lot of these are from the Bartenieff connectivities, which you will find actually go back a lot longer than that. Before that, we have a lot of these connectivities showing up in different types of arts and movements. We also look at dancing through the body systems to heal, restore, and regenerate the body from within. And lastly, I look at how we can become more mindful dancers, students, or teachers. So let's begin with the first point, somatic principles through the lens of Arabic belly dance movement. Now, Middle Eastern and Arabic dance movements are very natural and instinctive, and they do go back thousands of years, right to the pre-dynastic Egyptian age, if not before, to the Sumerian eras. So we find that a lot of these movements are basically rounded, gravity-rich, work with the natural planes of movement, particularly of the female body, and really create beautiful flowing shapes that are articulated in an easy and natural way in the body. Now, we've got the upper body moves, middle body moves, and the lower body or stepping moves. So if we look at the upper body moves, we've got a lot of lovely shoulder rolls and gentle movements, articulation of the wrists, and really all the mobile joints in the upper body. So a lot of these movements you find are very deeply sensed in the upper body, which is more about our center of levity. Now, our center of levity is between the ears. It's in the vestibular system, and it helps us with balance, coordination, and spatial awareness. But it also helps us feel lighter and just lifts our energies up. So when we're dancing anywhere from, let's say, the lower chest or heart area right to the top of the head, you find that you experience a sense of elevation and a kind of heightening of your sense of lightness. And that's because we're working through the center of levity. Now, when we're working in the middle of the body, around the solar plexus and belly areas, you find that you go into a really deep internal space. It's basically like you're massaging the organs inside the body. And if we relate this back to traditional Chinese medicine, a lot of that organ massage is going to stimulate the organs to regulate their production of hormones. And it also rejuvenates the cells around the organs. It brings down the visceral fat around the organs, and it also helps to work with any muscle connectivities within that abdominal area. So it gives you a really nice sense of grounding, weight sensing, and solidness. It's also, again, a really healthy massage for the middle of the body. Then we look at what's going on in the hips, the pelvic bowl, and the lower body. Of course, belly dancing has a lot of these beautiful, deep, sensual, swaying moves that are very pendulous, and they work deep in the pelvic bowl. Now, the pelvic bowl is our center of gravity. So whilst the vestibular system, up between the ears here, is our center of levity, giving us a lovely feeling of elation, buoyancy, and lightness, the center of gravity tends to give us a sense of stability, earthiness, and robustness. So if you want to feel stronger, we can do these movements with more of a reliance on our sense of gravity and weight sensing, which will make us feel grounded, calmer, more relaxed. Also, again, there's a wonderful massage happening in those lower organs, particularly in the reproductive area and the lower intestinal area. So it's really healthy, it's a great exercise, and the belly dance is not just all about the belly, it's a lot to do with stepping and weight sensing, transferring of weight. So you find that we will get a lot of movement in the big joints of the lower body, the hips, the knees, ankles, and you find that when your joints are nice and flexible, your body coordinates better. You're able to turn with more confidence, maneuver in a way that you're embodying your presence, yourself, and of course it keeps your joints healthy and revs your circulation. The more steps you take, the more closely spaced your steps, the higher your heart rate normally, and we can actually get some good circulatory response from our belly dance movements, particularly with the shimmy or vibrating moves. So that's looking at somatics basically through the lens of Arabic dance. We have our upper body moves, they're full of levity, they're light, they really allow us to feel a sense of buoyancy and joy. And then the middle body moves, which really bring our power back, they bring it right into that solar plexus and belly area. And then we have the lower pelvic bowl movements and the leg movements that harness our deep center of gravity and allow us to feel more robust and connected to earth. Now, if we look at the psychophysical benefits of somatic belly dance, we can look at the 6 levels of body connectivity for a start, which is pretty much a Bartenieff concept, but it does have links to many other traditional art forms, including Chinese traditional medicine. So what we're looking at first is breath. The way we can initiate through the first level of connectivity, there are 6, through breath. With belly dancing, it's all about keeping the jaw relaxed, breathing and flowing. Because we have a lot of seamless movement, we can really breathe into our movement. It opens our lungs, works with the interstitial muscles throughout the rib cage. So it's a very healthy way of exploring breath and allowing breath to flow freely through the body. And one of the psychophysical benefits of allowing your breath to flow naturally is the ability to initiate something, to start. So when we connect with our breath in a way that flows, in a way that's very harmonious to our system, we feel comfortable with initiating or starting. And that always gives us more confidence. If we then move into the second level of body connectivity, which is core distal, core being close to you and distal being away, we know that we're often sort of spreading our limbs this way to the right and left, up and down, or we're taking the leg out slightly to create a hip movement, or we're stepping. This is what we call core distal movements. We're either having our limbs close to the body, or then we bring them out and open. Core distal on a psychophysical level helps us a lot with differentiating self and space. So if we're working with self, it's all about our comfortable cocoon, the way we feel comforted by feeling safe and internal, and really acknowledging our own space and honoring ourselves, honoring the alone place where we feel comfortable. And then when you bring your arms out and open, you feel a different sensing, and that is other or the environment. So you're open to the environment. It's also wonderful to strengthen boundaries. And I was working with a lot of women who were in very abusive situations. And this was one of their primary healing modes, was the ability to push something away, to physically say no. So boundary work has got a lot to do with core distal principles, and we see that in belly dancing when we have the arms coming close to the body core, or distal, opening, widening, self and other, or self and space. It's a lovely integration between the two. The third level is head-tail connectivity. And remember how I'm talking about the vestibular system, which is our center of levity, lightness, and the deep pelvic bowl, the center of gravity. We kind of move through the center of levity and gravity, lifting up and down through the medium of the spine. And we have a lot of Ayurvedic and Eastern philosophies that work with the Kundalini energy of the spine, which originates from the ground, the right and left channels, the masculine, feminine, coming up through the first chakra, up through all of the chakras which flow through the spine and extend out into the organ systems, and then up to spirit through the top of the head. So when we're working with head-tail principles, we're working with spinal aliveness, and we're also working with curiosity and play. So on a psychophysical level, any beautiful curling, wave-like motions of the spine will help us connect to our curious self, the self that is playful, exploratory, and in a way you're telling your mind, I have a lot of options, because you're scanning. So it's very healthy and playful, and you will see this a lot in Latin dancing as well, and other dance forms like Polynesian. The fourth level of body connectivity is upper-lower. So it's very much about action capability. And this is where we divide the body in the center line horizontally, and we're able to move forward and back, or drop down into earth and spring up. So you get a lot of this with the hip drop movements, the buoyant hip drops, which are also very gravity rich, the Egyptian walk that really plants its weight down with a shimmy, and a lot of these movements where you're really dropping your hip and feeling it go down and then up again. So these movements help you with a sense of strength, capability, and knowing that you can do it. It's almost like metaphorically saying, I have a strong base and I can reach up to really wonderful heights because I spring off from a strong base. And that's the connectivity called upper-lower. I love hip drops, particularly for this. We then look at the fifth level, and that's body halves, very much about clarity in decision making. It's when all of your body looks to one side, or all your momentum is created through one half of the body, and then you consciously change. Farida Fahmy is a real body halves dancer, and I find that she has a very clear mind as well, wonderful decision-making skills. So this will help us with our own decision-making, giving us confidence in our decisions on that psychophysical level. And of course, belly dancing is full of it, but particularly things like RADA drills, my A to Z belly dance, a lot of things that are quite defined in the choice of which side of body you're going to use will help you with this. But also improvising helps, because you must make those decisions in the moment, and that helps you with making decisions in life in the moment. So dancing is almost like a big practice for how we respond to the world around us once we leave that dance class. Lastly, we have the cross-lateral movement. That's if you have the midline of the body and you cross like this. And what happens with cross-lateral movement is it prepares you to turn. It's a way of seeing all around you, and on a psychophysical level, it's all about full integration into your environment, coping with change in a very easy, flexible way, and generally feeling that you're adaptable. And that's really important, particularly at times like this where we're sometimes not sure of what's going to be happening next, like after this, pandemic, and everyone's been wondering what's happening next. The more you can allow your body to turn, the more flexible and integrated you become. And you see with the whirling dervishes, the Mevlana or the Sufi dervishes, their turning is almost like they are integrated to spirit, to space, in a way that is so flexible and adaptable that they do indeed feel as though they become one with God or with spirit. In my Sphinx festivals, I've often had a little talk afterwards with the whirling dervishes, the tanura, and they say they feel at one with God. They feel at one with spirit when they're whirling. And that kind of makes sense, right? On that psychophysical level, that cross-lateral movement, turning, allowing yourself just to spin or turn, or simply just do cross-lateral moves, helps you with integration. Okay, so if we look at some detailed energetic relationships with sounds, of course the flutes are played very high and light, so they're going to activate your centers of levity. The deeper instruments like the darbuka or dumbek, any of these deep instruments, even the oud that's played in the middle of the belly, will tend to bring the energy down, low and deep. So we can look at instruments like the mizmar, the trumpet, Arabic trumpet, which really calls and is jubilant. It brings you out of yourself. Wonderful for these open kind of movements, the core distal moves in the upper body, whilst the tabla or the drums are going to really activate a lot of that upper lower action in the lower body and give you a deep sense of gravity. So the lighter instruments generally played high in the body, including the drum, which is called rik. It's like a tambourine. They tend to elicit the energies higher in the body that make you either roll your shoulders, turn, reach up, open your chest, and really make you feel light and free. Whereas at the other end of the spectrum, you've got those deep earthy instruments that tend to ground you, like the darbuka and all the percussion family, but also some of the instruments that are played mid-body, like the kanun, the oud. So these string instruments tend to work through the belly area. And violin, of course, it's up near the heart, so it really does, pull the heartstrings. So there's some of the sound relationships that we can find. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you want to feel a certain way or use a certain part of your body, just be aware of the musical impulses that might drive those movements in that part of the body, either a levity-rich or gravity-rich or internal. Right, now we're going to look at how we can dance through the body systems to heal and renew. I believe that if we dance through the pelvic bowl and the feet, we are definitely going to earth ourselves. If you're dancing barefoot, even better. If you have problems with the feet or ankles, plantar fasciitis or any issues in the feet or ankles, just make sure you always keep one foot on the ground, nice and flat, and avoid going up to the balls of the foot too much. Mind you, sometimes going up on the balls of the foot when you have plantar fasciitis can actually help it. It can stretch it, but be gentle, go slow, and avoid quick turns. Okay, so just do 3 big hip strikes if everybody else is turning. So if we have reproductive problems or PMS, going through menopause and just want to sort of smooth a passage, you can activate that energy around the pelvic area. And that's a very powerful area in traditional Chinese medicine as well. It's like the life center energy, because it's from the pelvis right through to the back of the sort of kidney area. It's holding a lot of vital chi and energy. So shimmying once a day is absolutely awesome for all of us. Just in the shower, shimmy, shake, allow that gravity to just, earth itself, and for the cells around your pelvic area to become energized, because it can indeed help to balance out your hormones. Even if it's minimal, it will create some kind of a response in that area, initially by bringing more blood flow, but also we can start to help regulate our hormones through a shaking action and also a smooth action that allows movement to flow through freely through the pelvis instead of being locked, because it is an area that stores a lot of tension if we haven't processed it properly. Then if we go up to the middle of the body area, the solar plexus, belly, we're actually going into the liver, gallbladder, the small intestinal area, and even through the heart area. So we're really working with the internal organs, strengthening our centers. If you're working up through the heart, you're strengthening your center of immunity, your thymus, but you're also opening your heart. The chest and heart and even shoulders are another place we store a lot of grief. So tension can get stored in the lower body, frustration and grief can get stored in the upper body. So simply by shaking the upper body, just like we shake the lower body, doing the shoulder shimmies here, once a day. Just shake, shake, shake. It opens the heart, frees a lot of energy around the upper body areas and through the organs in the body as well. Then if we do movements that are very light and allow us to flow and be free, particularly kinetic movements like triple steps and movement, sort of running with a veil and things like that, that can help us feel very liberated and free, whilst doing very grounded moves like a drum solo with big heavy accents, punching kind of moves, will help us feel more grounded and solid in ourselves. So how can we become more mindful dancers, students and teachers? I believe the first step is to simply breathe. Allow the breath to freely move through the body. Allow your limbs to open and stretch and then come back to you. Feel the difference between self and space. Become aware of what things feel like inside your body, somatically, as opposed to out on the periphery of your body and as you're moving through space. We can also become more mindful of how we explore the area around us through our body shapes, through the movement of our spine, and through that internal sensing, particularly weight sensing, okay? Feeling it through your weight. We can also look at the strength in our body, how we can come down in order to rise up and prepare our movements. By preparing movements, we have more buoyancy and spring in our moves. Usually we prepare by going down in order to come up, or reaching up in order to go down. So remember, preparation helps us as well with feeling that sense of stability and knowing our next move. Refine through body halves, really become aware of choices that you make in the moment, whether it's in a choreography or through improvisation. And remember to add some sense of turning or flowing through space with cross-lateral movement, just to give yourself a feeling of full integration, be able to see behind you as well as to the side. So it's not so you're just looking at the front, you're kind of like looking all around you, including behind you. That gives you a wonderful sense of being fully integrated with your dancing space. So I will do another seminar on how we can dance through the various body systems, through our fluids, through our muscles, our bones, the spaces in our body, and several others. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and there is something, even if there's just one thing you can take from this into your own dancing. I really appreciate you all, and have a lovely week. See you now.